What's up, guys? In today's video, I wanted to take a look at the Time Variance Authority, also known as the TVA. And I want to take a look at the TVA because they will be playing a big role in the upcoming Loki series. And this group is a little confusing because they mostly deal with time travel. And things seem to always get confusing whenever you mess with time travel. Just look at the X-Men movies.
Hey, it's me! Don't scratch! Just cleaning up the timelines.
The main things I want to go over in this video are the main function of the TVA, some of their best known employees, then finish up with a tour of the facilities. Okay, so the TVA's main function is to monitor the timelines of all realities. And they don't just monitor the timeline for the main Marvel universe, but all universes in the entire multiverse. So yeah, they got a pretty big job. And what they try to do is to stop or control people that interfere with the natural timelines. For example, if Loki got his hands on a time stone, instead of jumping around to different time periods, that is something that the TVA would probably be interested in. There are a few competing organizations in Marvel that kind of serve a similar function, like the Congress of Realities, but the TVA is the most known and by far the largest of these groups. They're actually the biggest organization in the known universe. And this group is wildly powerful. They can not only erase people out of existence like they were never born at all, but they have the ability to erase entire universes out of existence. But they don't just destroy people or universes, they do actually try to fix them. It's just in some extreme cases, the only thing that they can do is to delete a person or a universe. And to kind of give you an idea of the process, when someone is found to be altering time, the TVA will typically send out a justice. And the justices act as basically the police for the TVA. And the justice will go out and essentially arrest that person and bring them back to the TVA. Once they get there, that person then has the opportunity to defend themselves in court. In fact, in one comic, She-Hulk was actually put on trial for changing the timeline, and she tried to pull the old, "You can't do this, I'm an Avenger" card, and it did not work at all. And the person actually responds back saying that the Avengers are the worst time offenders in the entire universe. And after Endgame, it's probably true for the MCU Avengers as well. But if that person is found guilty, they'll either be erased from existence, which is the harshest punishment they have, or they can be just put in jail. But that's the TVA's main function in a nutshell. So now I wanted to take a look at some of the most prominent employees that the TVA has. And I would say the best known employee there is Mobius M. Mobius, or Moby. But Mobius is going to be played by Owen Wilson in the Loki series.
Wow.
Something to keep in mind is that the TVA is a giant bureaucracy. Mobius first started off pretty low in the organization. Throughout the years though, Mobius was able to rise to nearly the top of the bureaucracy. But I don't want to go too much into him because I'm planning to do an entire video just focused on Mobius. So the next character I want to take a look at is Justice Peace. And as I already mentioned, the Justices act as basically the police force for the TVA. And he's probably the most well-known one in comics. Justice Peace is actually from a future alternate Earth, and throughout comics he's had run-ins with Thor and the Fantastic Four. Another character I want to talk about is Mr. Alternity, just because of his position in the TVA. Now he is the highest ranking member, however in comics his character really isn't all that important, just because he doesn't really play a key role in any stories. And finally I wanted to mention the character who goes by the name of He Who Remains. And he will act as the final director of the TVA at the endpoint of all the current multiverse. And what he does is create these beings called the Timekeepers. And you actually get a glimpse of the Timekeepers in the Loki trailer, but they're in statue form. And after this multiverse ends, the Timekeepers will actually go into the new universe, basically act as teachers, and try to help the new universe from making the same mistakes that the old universe made. And finally I want to give a tour of the TVA itself, which you get courtesy of the Fantastic Four. So first of all, the TVA is headquartered in the Null Time Zone. And the Null Time Zone is kind of its own thing. It operates outside of any single universe. Think of the multiverse as a house, and all the rooms in the house are different universes. The Null Time Zone would be the shed in the backyard, so not actually attached to the house. But if you're inside the Null Time Zone, time does not pass. And you actually hear Owen Wilson's character mention this to Loki in the trailer.
How long have you been here? I don't know, it's hard to say. You know, time passes differently here in the TVA. What does that mean? You'll catch up.
But starting the tour, the first thing we kind of get a look at is the barracks. But the barracks are where the Time Police, also known as the Minutemen, live. These soldiers are actually cyborgs. I personally always got the impression that they were made inside of the TVA, but don't quote me on that. But the Minutemen are different from the Justices. The Minutemen are more or less just the foot soldiers, while the Justices are kind of like the higher ranking police. The tour then takes a stop at the Hall of Discontinued Universes. So when they deem a universe unrepairable, this is where they dispose of them. They even mentioned that this probably isn't the most efficient way to do it, but it's by far the quickest. Kind of just dumping a universe down a garbage chute. And then we head over to the TVA's own jail. And these jail cells are called time cells. The reason why they might keep people in time cells instead of just erasing them from history is because some characters are simply just too important to the universe to just erase. But these time cells are pretty horrible to live in. So when they put you in the time cell, They then put you in a time loop. And these time loops are usually one of your least favorite memories, and you have to relive that over and over again. But most prisoners will get the chance to leave their time cell and rejoin their universe. But when they send prisoners back, they will board them on the Time Central Express Railroad, which is just a giant space train that's actually based off Earth trains. But the final stop of the tour is easily the most important part of the TVA, which is the Hall of Chronometry. This is an infinitely large hall filled with desks and 1980-looking computers that are ran by chronomonitors. And chronomonitors are these literally faceless bureaucrats, and each one of these chronomonitors is tasked with watching a single universe's timeline. And they're the ones that determine if there's been enough of an impact on a timeline that the TVA needs to step in. And just for some clarification, the TVA doesn't get involved every time someone alters a timeline. They usually only get involved if it's something that drastically changes the projection of that universe. But with there being an endless number of realities, there's essentially an endless number of chronomonitors watching these realities, because there's a separate reality for every possibility. Marvel in the comics and in the MCU operates on a branch universe theory, and the Ancient One actually touches on this in Endgame, when the Hulk goes to get the Time Stone. But just to give you an example of how this works, so in Endgame, when the Avengers went back in time and reversed the snap, that created a branch universe. So there's one universe that still has Thanos doing the snap and ending half the life in the universe, but now there's a second universe where the Avengers were able to actually stop it. But these chronomonitors are all clones of each other. In fact, everyone who works at the TVA is a clone. The reason why this is done is an attempt to try to increase efficiency, but even though they're all clones, each person has their own free will and their own personalities. But that's going to end the tour of the TVA. I hope this video gives you kind of a general idea of what the TVA does and how they operate. But I'm going to wrap up this video. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, make sure you slap that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.